This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Wrestling Omakase. It is episode number 196, and this week I am very pleased to be joined by a returning guest. Hello, live from Italy, Mr. Paul Volsch. Hi, Paul.
Hello, John. How are you doing? What temperature is it right now in New York?
It's very cold, I think. I think it's, let me see. Yeah, 25 degrees Fahrenheit, so whatever that is in your more logical temperature.
Yeah. Well, I looked up what it was here yesterday, and it was 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So I went out in a short sleeve shirt and a light jacket to get ice cream. So
yeah, that sucks. I'm very jealous. It's so cold that I can't go outside and smoke on my balcony once a week. So that's probably good. Like my lungs thank me for that. But yeah, it's like I do not have a strong enough addiction to nicotine to want to go out there when it's 25 degrees. So it's just like, I'm not doing it. So I'm just going to wait until it's a normal temperature again.
Fair enough. I think we're going to get to 65, I think, or something like that, sometime next week. So that's going to be interesting in early February.
Yeah. But, other than that, everything else is normal here, I guess. Did you watch any of that 24-hour Fight Forever show, Paul, that did not actually fight forever because they went out for an hour, apparently?
Yeah, I actually watched some stuff. I was actually surprised by, the Iron Man match. It wasn't, a really great match or anything. But I thought it actually would be a lot worse, given that who was, in there. I like Tony Deppen well enough. But I really thought that, Jordan Oliver would get, really badly exposed, and he didn't. So I guess it exceeded my expectations, but yeah, otherwise it was just a bunch of meaningless matches.
Yeah, the only thing I saw,
but I guess it was for a good cause, so
yeah,
there's that at least.
The only thing I saw, I turned it on probably 5 or 10 minutes into it, was that Blake Christian versus Lio Rush 2 out of 3 Falls match, which was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Just watching that live, because first of all, the audio was terrible. There was a really big delay on YouTube. Anytime. It was one of the, watching these, sometimes when you watch these pre-show shows that people ripped, there's a delay where you hear the body slam well before the body slam happens.
Oh yeah, no, that's unwatchable to me. I literally can't.
It drives me insane, yeah. But here it was funny because it was it just added to the comedy of them in this warehouse with these security cam looking cameras, with the audio completely off. And then, so they have a regular match of Fall 1. Then they say Fall 2 is first person to go through a red door loses. Which because they do doors in GCW instead of tables. I think I knew that. But
yeah. Then
so Leo won the first fall. Then Blake Christian, I guess, puts Lio Rush through a black door, and the announcer, it's not a red door, it's a black door, and the announcer immediately says, well, that's not a red door, so, obviously Blake did not win the fall. And then the referee raises Blake's hand and says he just won the fall. So it's what the hell is going on here? And then, and then Leo, they start wrestling. They keep wrestling. The announcer's like, well, we don't know. We think this is still the second fall. And then the third fall is a casket match for some reason. I don't know why. I guess because he's the Blackheart or something. I don't know. Anyway, and, they both go through a red door together. It looks like Leo puts Blake through the door, and by the actual stated rules of the match, Leo Rush just won because he didn't lose the second fall in the first place. So the match should be over, but they keep going and they fight to the casket, and the announcers the entire time cannot explain what's happening, and then finally Leo puts him in the casket and wins. He's the first person to ever win a best of 3 falls match 3-0. So it was really something. I don't know. It's really something. But yeah, I didn't watch the rest of it. That was pretty much it for me. Like, I watched the next match.
Well, to be fair, like there was the Blake Christian, I think, like had to like leave GCW as well because he lost a match to Ricky Shane Page where he put his GCW career on the line. So I guess at least like that's like an interesting development coming out of like all of these shows where it's like that probably means that like Blake Christian has like signed with someone, because like I doubt he would do that otherwise, because that was like his main place where he would work. So like I don't know, like obviously New Japan has had like a lot of interest in him, and I think that would be like the best place for him, because like he has like some potential, and like whenever he has been in New Japan, like that's generally the best he's looked like out of what I've seen of him. So like hopefully like that's where he goes and like just goes to the dojo and just like has Shibata like beat some sense into him.
Well, who knows, I guess. Watch him show up on NXT, of course, but
yeah, of course.
Show up there. Anyway,
I mean, in terms of like people getting signed to NXT, like that's the person I care like the least if he signs to NXT, like whatever.
But yeah, that was my GCW experience, and then I think I watched like one other match. It was like God, who the fuck was it? Nate Webb against a guy, the one Manders or whatever. I don't even. I don't.
Oh
watch
yeah.
I don't watch GCW that much. I don't know these people that well, but the only thing I have to say about that is Alley Cat might be the worst color commentator in wrestling history. I mean, just like all she says is like she'll have this like very like normal delivery, this very like almost bored sounding delivery most of the time, and then suddenly she'll start screaming in your ear. And you're just like, please stop. I don't want to hear the Alley Cat scream at me anymore. Someone's probably likes this, but
at least there's like a consistent level of talent between a wrestling and a color commentary. So
there you go. But yeah, someone probably likes this, but it's definitely not me. But yeah, that's my GC. There's my GCW report. I watched like an hour maybe of the 24 hours. So, and when I went to go watch it again, so I stopped watching. So I felt like playing Sound Voltex. So I was playing my little rhythm game, and I went to go watch again, and I'm like, and people are like, "Oh, the feed's down." I'm like, "What do you mean the feed's down?" They're like, "Oh yeah, it's been down for an hour." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What?" But yeah, that was my sum total of my GCW experience. We'll keep it in American wrestling for a second. If we get to the show's topics, are you excited for the Rumble Royale today, Paul?
Oh yeah, of course. I got a lot of money riding on that. I mean, there's definitely no money I have invested into that pool. There's definitely no gambling going on here at any point or anything like that. So really, only in Joe Gagne's like free pool is the only one I'm invested in.
So there's a VOW Slack Rumble, very like you said, non-gambling pool, and I have a pretty good number in the women's Rumble. I have 22, but I have 9 in the men's Rumble, which is. Fucking 9 is not gonna win. I hate to tell, like that's not 9 is a classic slot for like some fucking jobber nobody cares about. So, yeah. So,
I mean, you can still get like money from like the first one eliminated or like shortest time.
No. From 9? No, I can't. They're gonna have 1 through 8 all come out and not be eliminated.
Probably not, but like maybe you get like shortest time. Like
shortest time is
possible.
Like
shortest Tucker time or someone comes out at 9 and just immediately gets thrown out.
Yeah, shortest time is possible, but like first, like if you're gonna get an early number, you want like 4 or something, because that 4 has a real shot at first eliminated. 3, 4, 5, but 9 has almost no shot at that. So no shot at winning and no shot at first eliminated. So it's just like
I think
the worst.
I got like 12 and 22 or something. I don't remember exactly what numbers I've got, but
22 is good. That's what I have in the women's.
22 is pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily see them having somebody come out and win at 22. So I have.
Look, at the end of the day, it only like matters which number the Fiend comes out in like either Rumble. So
that's true. The Fiend and the Fiendess are gonna win. So this will be the first like. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it all the way through. I'm definitely gonna watch at least part of it But if I watch it all the way through, it'll be the first WWE show I watch all the way through since last February. So we'll see.
I'll see
All
if
I had to
I'll
do-
still.
That's what I was gonna say. All I have to do is get
Yeah.
definitely real money on the line, and and then I'll watch WWE if I have money on the line for every show that I watch every show.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I'll try and stay up for it, and if I actually manage to do so, it's like the first like WWE show incomplete that I've seen since the Rumble 2019. So
Wow. Okay, you have me
Longer than
beat
that.
by you have me beat by a lot there. That's true. Rumble 2019.
I
was
actually
a pretty-
reviewed that. I reviewed that for the website, and I didn't watch another WWE show for 2 years.
That was a pretty good show too, wasn't that? The, like Brock
That was
and-
really good. Yeah.
That's like Brock Finn.
Yeah, that was a really good match actually.
Yeah, Brock Finn was awesome. Sasha Ronda, I liked. A lot of people liked it more than I did. I thought it was good. And
Yeah.
Becky Asuka's fucking rules.
That
So
ruled.
yeah.
That match was great.
I mean, those three matches are awesome. And then the one on paper you think will be the best one of the 4 title matches, AJ Bryan, is like fucking terrible. Which is
I
really
fucking hated. I hated that match so much. It made me so irrationally angry.
That was the
because
one where
I
it's
was
like-
just like, it was like fucking 3 a.m. for me, and I'm watching like 2 people that are like technically 2 of my like all-time favorite wrestlers, and they're fucking laying a stinker in the fucking middle of the ring because WWE is incompetent, and I'm just like, how do you make me hate a match between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, that was the one where if people hadn't figured out that AJ sucks by then I don't know what to tell them. I mean, he was like toast by then. But yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, but look, he's against Bryan. Like
That's
Bryan
true.
can like literally carry like a log of wood to like a good match.
Well, he couldn't do it with AJ Styles at that point, I guess.
No.
But yeah, it's that was a really good show, but a lot of stuff that happened afterwards was not very good. So you got out right at the right time, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's anyway, so I guess we can get into our actual topics here, which of course is Japanese wrestling. We have 2 shows to review, which is the New Japan Pro Wrestling New Beginning in Nagoya. That was on Saturday, January 30th, and the Pro Wrestling Noah Higher Ground show from Korakuen Hall on January 31st. Before I get into those reviews, though, I just wanted to take a quick moment to plug the Wrestling Omakase Patreon. We're going to have lots of cool stuff coming up in February. First of all, if you've never signed up with us before, it's only $5 a month. So get that out of the way immediately. There's no multiple tiers. It's just $5 gets you everything we're going to do. So it's at patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. We really focus on Japanese wrestling, obviously. A lot of, past stuff on there. And, current stuff too, especially when there's tournaments. But this coming month, a lot more focus on past wrestling. And next week, I can tell you right now, we have a very exciting Patreon exclusive episode. I'm going to be joined by W.H. Park from the Post Wrestling Network. He'll be making his Omakase debut, and he and I will be doing a 5 matches episode. We've already picked our matches for that. I mean, it's a really cool lineup of matches. So definitely, actually, I can give you some of them right now. Obviously, we don't know what's going to win the poll yet, but let me see. Yeah, so some of the matches we're going to be doing. Manami Toyota versus Aja Kong from the All Japan Women's Dome show. Tenkoji versus Suwama and Shuji Kondo from All Japan 2008. It's a match they put up on their service recently that just stuck out to me. Another All Japan tag that's from 1989. Stan Hansen and Genichiro Tenryu versus Jumbo Shirata and Yoshiaki Yatsu. And the Tiger Emperor, who's Kotaro Suzuki, against Ricky Marvin from Noah. So some really cool stuff there, and some really some obscure stuff, I think. That would be cool to talk about. But yeah, plus we'll have a 5th match that you'll be able to vote on if you're a patron. So that's coming up next weekend, or probably like a week from Monday, actually, is when I'll put that up. So that'll be a Patreon exclusive episode. We'll be doing a Patreon exclusive. So it'll be we did a retro roulette episode back in October, and we'll be doing a New Japan retro roulette. It'll be based on a New Japan theme, which we'll go into more when we get closer to that episode. But that will also be Patreon exclusive later in February. And then on top of that, we do our 1-match episodes, where in each match each episode I cover a match on its own. These are shorter, bite-sized episodes. I usually do about 2 a week, so you get a pretty good amount of content there. And this time in February, we're doing patron submitted matches, so all sorts of different stuff in February. I mean, I've gotten matches from everything from Joshi to current New Japan to like 90s stuff, 80s stuff too. I think. I mean, all sorts of different stuff we're going to talk about. It should be a ton of fun. And on top of that, if there's anything I've ever mentioned before that you wanted to listen to, only $5, and you can access our entire archive, including recently we did all these Tokyo Dome main events in order. I got all the way up from 1989 to 1995 before I paused that, so we'll resume that at the end of the year, probably closer to Wrestle Kingdom season again. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I covered everything from we did both SWS Dome shows. We did the All Japan Women's Dome main event, the Big Egg Wrestling Universe. We did the UWF and Pro Wrestling Fujiwara Gumi. A ton of New Japan shows, obviously, but not just 1-4-1s like you've seen in other series, like on the Voice of Wrestling one, but we did like all these other New Japan Dome shows even before January 4th. So yeah, those are a lot of fun. There's series covering every Tanahashi Okada match in order, every Naito Ishii match in order. So those are all waiting for you right now for your $5. Definitely a ton of content on there if you've never subscribed before. So would highly recommend it. Patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. Definitely check that out for February. Obviously, I think they changed the way they do it anyway. I think now if you sign up, you get a full month no matter when you sign up. But the important thing is you can sign up now for $5 and get access to all that content. And in March, obviously, if you stick with us through March, we'll be doing daily coverage of the New Japan Cup. So we'll be bringing back our tournament coverage that we did. We covered the G1, the Best of Super Juniors, the World Tag League, the Champion Carnival from All Japan, that terrible tournament, and the Noah N1 Victory, the DO, the King of DDT. So we covered a ton of tournaments last year, but yeah, we'll be getting back into that this year with the New Japan Cup and then the Champion Carnival as well. If they haven't announced that yet, right? But I think it'll be in April probably. Paul.
Yeah, I don't really see a reason why they would move it at this stage.
Yeah.
Like, I get why they moved it last year, but I think at this stage, like, they're just gonna like power through.
Yeah,
like, what really could happen at this stage that would make them move it, unless it's like literally every venue in Tokyo just goes, no, we're not gonna take any wrestling shows. Like, I think that's about the only thing, and I don't think that will happen.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe they decide they want to try to wait for regular crowds or something, because there is a chance probably in like October, if they ran it then again, that you could have more normal crowds that can cheer again. But I don't know if it's probably not worth it for that level of uncertainty.
Yeah.
So.
And we saw what happened last year, where apparently all Japan wrestlers, if the Champion Carnival doesn't happen at its normal time, don't give a shit about the Champion Carnival. So maybe let's just do it with clap crowds and at least have it be good. So.
Yeah, hopefully that's the reason. But yeah, we'll find out this year. But yeah, so the two shows we're here to talk about, New Beginning and Nagoya, we'll start out with that one. This was I would say a good show. I think some people probably have it much higher than me because they probably are higher on the semi-main event than I was. But I love the main event. I thought match 3 was good. There's the first 2 matches really not much to them, but we'll go through it as we go here. You might be one of the people who's higher on the semi-main than me, so I don't know. What do you think of the show?
We'll see about that.
Okay. But yeah, overall I would say a good show. Definitely a lot better than the January 23rd Oda War Gym show, which, by the way, did you see that tweet Dave Meltzer put out when he was promoting the Wrestling Observer newsletter for the week, and he was like, this was possibly the worst big New Japan show in recent memory. I'm like,
what? That's a bit much.
Dave, well, first of all...
it wasn't great, but
Whoa, time out. The quality of the show is not the part of the tweet that's bad. It was fucking Road to New Beginning Night 5. Even if it was like the worst show New Japan ever put on, that statement would still not be accurate because Road to the New Beginning Night 5 is not a big show. New Beginning in Nagoya is barely a big show. Road to New Beginning Night 5 is certainly not a big show. Like, people were really dunking on that tweet. It's like, oh yeah, the history of Road to New Beginning Night 5 will never be the same again. It's like, Dave actually did kind of say it a little more, diplomatically in the newsletter, where he was like, the worst somewhat big show in New Japan history, which I don't even think it counts as that. I get why he said that, because it was at Oda Ward Gym instead of Korakuen, but like, it's at Oda Ward Gym because the max you can put into Oda Ward Gym right now is 1,200 people. So yes, I mean, that's why it was at Oda Ward Gym. But I don't know. I mean, just really, really bizarre shit. That tweet was, I mean, I didn't like that show really much at all either, but like, to call that a big show was
it's a bit much.
Yeah, a bit
it's basically a house show stuff that just happened to be in like Oda Ward. Like,
yeah, I mean, they had a junior tag title match on it, but I mean, they've had junior tag title matches on Road 2 shows before.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Anyway, New Beginning in Nagoya is what we're here to talk about, though. Attendance here was 2,156, so I think that was a sellout for the capacity of they're allowed to have at IG Prefectural Gym right now. So they continue to draw well everywhere that's not Korakuen. These Korakuen shows are not drawing because they're running 10,000 of them, but and they're also at like 6 p.m. on a weekday because of the what's it called, the curfew that's going on.
They got outdrawn by All Japan last week. Like that's
kind
of, like, I get that it's because they run like Korakuen like literally like 50 times a month, but still like can't really get outdrawn by All Japan at this stage. That's just kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, but every other show seems to still. I mean, the Oda Ward Gym show was a sellout, and this one, I would assume 2,000. If 2,156 isn't a sellout with the current COVID protocols, it's really, really close. Because I think this building normally fits about 4,500, I think, and they did 40. I think they're doing 40% of the capacity right now. So. But yeah, this was a good crowd there. They were into everything, as into everything as people can be right now with the COVID protocols. But yeah, we'll start the main event and work our way down. The main event, Hiroshi Tanahashi defeats Shingo Takagi in 35-40 with the high fly flow. Becomes the longest never title match of all time. Blows past the previous record, which was like 30-56 or something, for Goto and Elgin. They mentioned it on the English commentary, which I have a few things to say about the English commentary. I guess I'll mention them throughout. But yes, they mentioned on the English commentary, which I think they got that from Chris Samsa, of course, who's a voice of Wrestling Zone and also Sport of Pro Wrestling. So shout out to Chris. But yeah, this was a Tanahashi beating Shingo, the new longest never title match of all time. It ends Shingo's second reign with the title. This would have been his second defense. Of course, he won the belt back from Minoru Suzuki. A power struggle in November, so not a long reign for him here. But he had the never belt most of 2020 because he won it in February. He lost it to Minoru Suzuki in August and then won it back from in November. But it was not a long reign here. But I definitely think he was firmly established at the never level, you could say. So
yeah,
I think if they want to do something else with him, if they want to maybe tease that he might win the New Japan Cup, or if they want to, I would love, and I don't know if they would do this, but like, if I was booking right now and I needed to find something to do with Naito and Shingo, and if Dangerous Tekkers win back the tag titles on February 10th, I mean, I would love a Dangerous Tekkers versus Naito and Shingo feud. I don't know if they would do that.
Oh, that would absolutely rule. Like, I would be all in on that. But I wouldn't be opposed to like a Shingo like double title like challenge as well. Like, I don't think he would win, but like I think him and Ibushi could have like a really good title match as well.
Yeah, that would be another failing up.
Be a ton of fun. Yeah, but New Japan does it all the time.
I know, it's just so annoying. It's like you lost the never title. Why are you challenging now for the double titles? It's like if they want to go have him win the New Japan Cup, that will make sense. But like if he's the Castle Attack challenger, it'll be like, okay. Why are you challenging for these titles? Anyway, on the match itself.
To be fair, but Shingo makes sense as a challenger in Osaka. So.
Did he beat Ibushi or did he lose to Ibushi? He did beat Ibushi in the G1, I think. Yeah.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that would make a certain amount of sense. So yeah, maybe that'll happen. Who knows? New Beginning in Nagoya, though, the main event here. So we open up with the two of them trading some arm drags, a nice little leg trip from Tanahashi, the transition into a headlock, and just that kind of mat wrestling. And Tanahashi eventually starts going after Shingo's leg just before the 5-minute call. And Shingo, eventually comes back with this big running lariat that sends Tanahashi all the way to the floor. A nice bump from Tana. A little silly of a counter when it's a guy working over your leg, but he does at least stretch it out on the mat to show that's clearly affecting him, and it's not like so much leg work at that point that it really bothered me. But we'll talk about the leg stuff as we go here. Tanahashi does catch Shingo off against the ropes and tries to get him a dragon screw off of there, but Shingo kind of weirdly spins out of it. I've seen other people do that dragon screw quote unquote counter before. It doesn't really work for me because it doesn't look like the guy who's quote unquote countering it did anything. It just looks like he didn't take a bump for no reason. So I don't love that counter. It's not a Shingo specific thing because I've seen other people counter the dragon screw from Tanahashi in that way. So I assume it's a spot that Tana calls, but it just looks weird. I think he should retire.
Yeah, no, it looks like a miscommunication more than anything else.
It
looks like oh shit, I forgot to take a bump. Okay, let's just carry on.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely something they're doing on purpose, to be clear, but it's definitely it doesn't really work. Shingo then runs in the ropes at full speed, tries for the sliding lariat, but Tanahashi ducks that at the last possible second, hits a basement dropkick to the knee, followed by finally getting the dragon screw. That was a really fun sequence, other than the issues with the dragon screw counter, like I said. And then Tanahashi follows up with his flip senton off the second rope for a 2 count. Shingo comes back by tossing him to the apron, hits a quick snap over the top rope, and then goes to re-enter the ring. Tanahashi cuts him off with another basement dropkick while he's climbing in. Now, this sounds better on paper than it looked in practice because Shingo ended up kind of having to pause for a few seconds halfway into the ring for no real reason. Just kind of had to stand there kick me boss, basically. So that wasn't great. But, but then Tanahashi follows up with a amazing high fly flow from the floor of the top rope. So I think people probably forgot about that spot. And I probably would have forgotten about it too if I didn't take a note on it. But yeah, the high fly flow crossbody to the floor here was one of the better ones he's done in forever. Because he basically crushes Shingo's face with it. And it looks amazing. So, one of the
it's
best.
also kind of crazy that he still does that spot as well. Because I'm sure it's obviously he's very beat up at this stage.
Yeah.
So no one would fault him if that was the move that he was just you know what, maybe I'm not gonna do that anymore, but he still does it anyway. I mean, kudos to him, but I don't know. It was very cool here, but he definitely should reserve it for matches of this caliber.
Yeah.
And I think he still does it a bit too frequently still that he probably should at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. Tanahashi, he cuts Shingo off trying to get back in the ring again. Gives him another dragon screw against the ropes. And then Shingo finally comes back with an elbow. And at the end of the reversal sequence, he continues his move theft gimmick by lifting the twist and shout from Tanahashi. Really drops him with it too. It's probably better than Tana usually does that move. He does a second one for good measure, then gets the sliding lariat. I will say, and this is my only, other than those few little awkward spots, this is my only big critique of the match, where he does that annoying run at full force and then go down clutching my leg thing that I hate. I will say he does a better, at this point he does that. Later on in the match, he does a better job selling the leg and actually going at a slower speed. So I can kind of overlook it because it's not like he completely ignores it or just totally goes off and on the way I've seen other people do. But yeah, I mean, this was one moment where I thought he ran a little too fast for the amount of leg work at that point. Tanahashi comes back with yet another basement dropkick. He starts kicking at Shingo, and then Shingo basically gets all fired up and yells at him. And then catches his leg and uses it as an opportunity to hit this big running chop block on him. The chop block looked awesome. I mean, just a perfect chop block. And he starts targeting Tanahashi's leg from there. And gets the big dragon screw with Tanahashi tied up in the ropes that every Tanahashi opponent does against him now, which it works every time, so I guess I get why. But yeah, they're going to keep doing that to him to the end of his career, I guess. And then Shingo, in one of the best moments of the match, plays air guitar with his leg, which is such a great taunt to use against Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, it was just such a great dickhead moment.
I mean, there's not many people that are better at just being complete dickheads than Shingo Takagi. So yeah,
and I wrote
I'm
about
not surprised by that.
I wrote about it in the preview. I was annoyed that he wasn't doing it more during the build-up, because like that's what I expected him to do. And I thought he was gonna like lean into the heelish side of himself and really be an asshole, and he never really did during the build. But I'm glad he did it a bit during the match here. Shingo gets a big half crab, which he sort of turns into like a hold on the mat. You don't really see that often. Just to get the 20-minute call. And Tanahashi, obviously, nobody listening to this needs me to tell them that Hiroshi Tanahashi is good at selling. But man, his selling was really good here as he eventually made it to the ropes. Shingo goes for the Made in Japan. Tanahashi counters by going back after his leg. Hits a couple big dragon screws on the mat. Those always look great. And then he gets the Texas Cloverleaf locked in. Shingo does a great job teasing that he's going to go out. And of course, that's how Tanahashi beat his stablemate Naito for the Intercontinental title back at Dominion 2017. Which is, I wish the English announcers, Kevin Kelly did a good job on the show, and ELP, I saw him getting some rave reviews. ELP got better as the show went on, I will say. Like the first two matches, he was annoying the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And,
no.
And like as
he was terrible like the first two, but I think that was because that had Bullet Club involvement, so he was doing like Bullet Club heel stuff. Whereas like afterwards, like especially in the main event, he just became like just like a normal color commentator, and I think he was actually really good in the main event and in the Ospreay match as well. Like
it's okay to be heelish, and he still was heelish, but like he was way too over the top in the first two matches. And as the show went on, like you said, once he got past the Bullet Club stuff, he became way better. But I was gonna say I wish one of them had pointed out that this was how Tanahashi beat Naito to win the Intercontinental title, because to me that's like the first thing I thought of when I was watching this, because Naito and Shingo being stablemates and all that. Tanahashi decides to like go with the hold though, which is a curious decision because it looked like Shingo was going out, and he immediately decides to try for high fly flow to the back. He hits it. He goes up for a second time for the one to the front, but Shingo rolls out of the way, and Tanahashi eats shit on it. And, that was a moment where I'm like, oh, he's actually losing this match. It just did feel like the kind of thing that they would do before Tanahashi lost the match. The fact that he ended up winning, of course, just means the match was very well laid out, to make you think either guy could have a chance to win. Because, I wasn't spoiled on this, thankfully. And ELP actually offers a decent explanation on commentary here where, because obviously Shingo was going out before the first high fly flow to the back, so you'd think, how the hell did he roll out of the way of the second one? And ELP basically says, well, maybe the first one to the back actually woke him up. So yeah, that did kind of make sense. That was a good, I'm very hard on ELP on this podcast most of the time. So I will say that was a good explanation on commentary, because my first thought was like, why was Shingo able to roll out of the way of that? But it kind of makes Tanahashi look like an idiot, because it's like, why didn't you just keep your cloverleaf on, man, and wait for him to go out? But, what are you going to do? He won the match anyway, so. We get the 25-minute call as Shingo hits his sick wheelbarrow suplex into the turnbuckle pad. He then pulls out the Move Thief gimmick again and like finishes a little counter sequence with Tanahashi by dropping him the Dragon Suplex. That was pretty awesome. He throws a pumping bomber, and here he actually does a real good job selling that he can't run anywhere near as fast as usual after all that leg work and the cloverleaf just now. Like he really slows down. He hobbles on one leg for it. Like he did a really good job there. So that definitely made up for some of my problems with his leg selling earlier in the match. He tries for a second one, but again can't get the full speed, which lets Tanahashi duck and try Sling Blade. But Shingo reverses that right into Made in Japan, which that was a really cool reversal. And then he drops Tanahashi right on his fucking head.
That was absolutely disgusting. That was... I cringed when I saw that. Like, I actually didn't watch the match live. I actually watched it like afterwards on VOD. So I kind of I was a little bit spoiled on it, and I kind of knew that like the Made in Japan spot was like really nasty, and I still cringed when I saw it. I was like, holy shit. He literally just drops him straight on the top of his head. Like, that must have sucked so much to take. But like Tanahashi just took it like a champ.
Yeah, sick ass move. I mean, it's one of those times where obviously he wasn't trying to do that, but it adds to the match if anything. So, I mean, just killed him. I mean, just murdered him with that.
Yeah.
Shingo goes for the last of the dragon. Tanahashi lands on his feet, hits the twist and shout, followed by a second and a third. He goes for the sling blade. Shingo tries to catch him in the Made in Japan again, but this time Tanahashi is ready and counters back to the straightjacket German for another 2 count, which I love when they do like little spots that are like, you know, I've made this rant before, but callbacks in the same match to me are even better than callbacks to prior matches. And like, you know, this was a callback to something that happened like 2 minutes before that, but you know, it's always great when it's like a wrestler figures out the counter and it's like, well, now I have this, I'm ready for the counter and I'm going to counter back. So that's the kind of shit I love. But Tanahashi finally hits Sling Blade, goes up top, goes for the high fly flow, cross body, but Shingo kind of catches him. I mean, it did kind of mess this up. It didn't look super bad or anything. It just kind of looks like Shingo backed up and didn't go down for the cross body and then just powered him straight under his shoulders. It would have looked better if he had caught him in midair and actually held him. Yeah. So you kind of have to take I guess like a half point off of that spot, but it didn't look horrible or anything. But yeah, then he
I think Shingo was just like straight up supposed to catch him and then like put him up for the DVD. And I think they just, I don't know, like someone screwed up there. But I don't think it like took away from the match really. But it was like probably like the most notable like screw up in the match.
But he ends up dropping him a Death Valley Driver. And then he follows up with a running lariat in the corner, close to full force, although he does sell the leg afterward. It's been a while since we had any leg work, so I guess that's fine. He then puts Tanahashi in a Dragon Sleeper as we get the 30-minute call. And then as Tanahashi climbs up the ropes, or climbs up to the ropes with his legs, like he's going to try to counter it, Shingo gets this huge smile and then gives Tanahashi his version of the GTR. That was a great moment. I mean, just the smile on his face where he's like, "Ha! You walked right into my trap," and then delivers the GTR. That was awesome. Shingo then hits each side of the ropes before hitting an incredible full force pumping bomber for another 2 count. He goes for last of the dragon yet again. Tanahashi fights out of it. Shingo immediately responds with like a big standing lariat, then starts like throwing these slaps. Tanahashi counters with his own forearm shots, but Shingo lays into him with alternating forearms, and then Tanahashi responds with his own hard slap, and they keep trading blows. You can, hear people audibly reacting at this point against the rules. Shingo hits another lariat. Tanahashi hits the dragon suplex. Shingo no-sells it, but Tanahashi runs over the sling blade and covers, only gets a 1 count. Shingo pops right up and hits another lariat, but Tanahashi also kicks out at 1. Now, I can see that spot annoying people. You can see it being a little goofy to some people. But I thought that what I thought they were trying to do there was, because I saw a lot of people say that this was a very Tanahashi style of match and not a Never style of match, I thought they were trying to make that their Never spot. Like, their...
Yeah, no. That's absolutely what that was. And, like, that was very much, like same with, like, I think a bit earlier in the match where, like, Tanahashi just, like, does, like, a shoot headbutt. And, like, I think that was, like, essentially, like, the nods to, like, the Never style of matches. And what I also like, because we talked about commentary a bit earlier as well, like, what I loved about that spot afterwards as well, where ELP just screams fighting spirit. And I think at that stage was also, like, because obviously he's, like, a huge wrestling nerd as well, and I think at that point he was just, like, getting really into the match as well and just, like, was just screaming at the top of his lungs. Yeah. So that was kind of funny as well.
Yeah, so I thought that was, just totally... I had no problem with that spot. I mean, just a last gasp and from both guys and a bit of one-upsmanship, driving to the point of these quick kickouts. And then Shingo and Tana finally both get back up. They collide in the middle with lariats, neither man going down. That was awesome, too. And Tanahashi hits another slap. Shingo answers with yet another standing lariat that just wipes him out. And I really just had no idea who was winning this match at this point, which is rare for me in some of these New Japan big matches where, like, it kind of feels like it's obvious by this point. But, like, yeah, I mean, they both kept escaping each other's finishers, and they both, just kind of felt like it could go either way here. And then Shingo goes for Last of the Dragon again. Tanahashi counters in midair with the sling blade. He goes back up and finally hits the standing high fly flow crossbody. just as we get the 35-minute mark. Hits a dragon suplex hold for like a 2.999999 count, really close. And then Tanahashi goes up, hits the high fly flow to the front, and that finally gets the pin. Pretty fucking incredible match here. I really consider going 4 3/4. Ultimately, I think there were like too many flaws to go quite that high. I mean, they easily could have cut some of the dueling legwork stuff out, even though some of that was quite good, but it didn't ultimately mean anything for the match, and it means you can nitpick with some of it, especially Shingo, blowing it off to do his usual running stuff toward the end. And there were a couple other spots I mentioned throughout that didn't look great in the first half, especially, but also obviously that catch spot. So to me, that takes it down to 4.5. But I mean, 4.5. I mean, it's still a fucking awesome match. One of my favorite matches of the year so far. And these two had an incredible match here. I mean, just I would say lived up to expectations. Anytime you're at a 4.5 star match, you had a match that is going to go down as one of the best matches of the year. So just a really, really awesome match here.
Yeah, no, I really, really liked it as well. Like, it didn't quite reach because I saw some people hype this up as a potential match of the year candidate, and I don't think it reached that level for me at all.
Yeah, I think it's
would it make my
I was gonna say I think it'll make like the lower half of my list. It could, because I 4.5 stars is enough to make 6 through 10 usually on my list, so it'll be in contention.
Maybe it definitely would make my list if we ended the year right now, but we're also still in January.
Yeah.
So I doubt it would still be on my list, by the end of the year. Even if I would rank it among, New Japan matches this year, this would be, my number 4 right now. And if it's my number 4 at the end of January, then, I don't have much hope for it surviving through the rest of the year. So, I don't know. I liked it well enough, but it just wasn't, that. It didn't reach that upper echelon for me. It wasn't even my favorite Shingo match this year so far.
That's true.
Because that's still Shingo Cobb. It's way better than this.
Yeah.
But it was still a great match, obviously. It was still an amazing. It was definitely a well-deserved main event, and a great way to end Shingo's reign as well. Although I have a feeling that Tanahashi's reign as NEVER champion won't be very long. But
we'll get to that in a sec.
I assume we'll talk about that next.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at my spreadsheet, it's top 5 for me right now because I have, for January, obviously, we're only 1 month in. I have Naito and Ibushi at 4 3/4. That's my highest rated match of the year. It's the only match I have that high. And then I have 4 matches at 4.5, which were Suwama and Yuma Aoyagi from January 3rd in All Japan. And the other 3 are all New Japan matches. Shingo and Jeff Cobb, Taiji Ishimori and Hiromu Takahashi. Both of those are on 1-5. And the Shingo versus Tanahashi match here. So I'd have to think about where I'd rank it right now. I mean, I think I liked it better than Suwama and Aoyagi, and then it would come down to this or Ishimori and Hiromu for number 3. Because I think Shingo Cobb is number 2, and then obviously Naito Ibushi is number 1. But like you said, it's only January, so it'll be tough for all 4 of those matches, especially to really stay on my top 10 list at the end of the year. But
Naito I
Ibushi
actually kind of forgot about Naito Ibushi as well, so it might actually be my number 5 New Japan match, I guess.
Yeah.
In that case, because I have Ibushi White first, Shingo Cobb, Okada, Ospreay, and then I would have Naito versus Ibushi, and then I guess I would have this match.
Yeah.
I would have to think about if I would rank this or Hiromu versus Ishimori ahead, but I think I probably would give this match the edge as the number 5 right now.
But yeah, I don't know. Naito Ibushi to me is the only one of these January matches that is pretty much guaranteed to be there at the end of the year for me. So let's see here. What do we got up? Oh, the post-match attack, obviously. So Shingo and Tanahashi, they both say they want one more match afterwards. So you're thinking, maybe they'll do a rematch at Castle Attack. And then Tanahashi starts doing his he does air guitar with the Never belt for the first time ever. Because, by the way, we didn't mention this, but this was not just the first time Tanahashi won the Never Openweight title. It was the first time he ever challenged for this title. He'd never challenged for the Never Openweight title in his entire career. So, he'd never been involved with this belt before. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, he played air guitar with the Never title here. And then the Great Okan ran out and attacked Tanahashi just as he was about to say, the Aishimasu call. And, I have to say, Kevin Kelly, amazing call on English commentary when he was so angry. He just was yelling, you son of a bitch. He's just very, very angry. And, Milano on Japanese commentary too, because I heard that one too when I watched the promos, was very angry too. So good anger on both commentators here for Okan laying out Tanahashi. But yeah, I did get spoiled on the attack because after the match was over, I was so eager to see other people's takes because I was okay, I rated this 4.5. I wonder how many people are higher than me or lower than me. And I logged right on to try to see, and not even thinking about the possibility of post-match angle. And then I check, I guess probably the Voice of Wrestling account or something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the Great Okan wasn't that attack awesome?" I'm like, "Oh, well, too bad I got that spoiled for me." But yeah, Okan, just still a great angle though. I mean, he just fucking looks like $1 million in his that same suit thing he was wearing to lay out Okada when he debuted, and the crowd was very angry. I mean, you could hear them yelling even though they're not supposed to. Just a great angle. I mean, look, we haven't gotten to his other match yet, but it is pretty impossible to book a new top heel, any better than they booked Okan here. I mean, he seals Hiroshi Tenzan's Mongolian chop clean as a whistle, which is, that is a ballsy call to make, whether Tenzan's going to retire soon or not. That is a real ballsy call. And then comes out at the end of the main event, lays out Tanahashi, grabs the Never belt and says, "Give me this Never belt." And, you instantly have a rematch from the Tokyo Dome. But he even taunted him with that. He was like, "Did you really think this was over from the Tokyo Dome?" I did think it was over from the Tokyo Dome for now. So I was stunned when this happened. But yeah, really, really fantastic booking. For as much shit as people gave Gato last year and the New Japan booking, I mean, the way they booked Okan so far has been pretty much perfect. So.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I would put the likelihood that he's going to win to be very high.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't make sense for him to lose to Tanahashi twice this quickly. That. I don't think it would damage him because obviously he's still really new and everything, and he can recover from almost anything. But the way they're pushing him, because to me, from the way his gimmick is and his look, and obviously the fact that and his moves as well, they very clearly see him as the next Tenzan. And obviously Tenzan is a really big deal in New Japan, especially to Japanese fans, probably even more so than overseas fans. And it seems very clear that they see him as the guy that will inherit that role, and taking the title from Tanahashi immediately in what would probably be considered a shock. I think that just feels the perfect move to make right now.
Yeah. So I mean, that should be. I mean, that'll be a title match at one of the two Castle Attack shows for sure, and that'll be. I do agree that Okan will likely win the Never title, which I predicted that for him back in the start of the year, and people told me people said that no, I think Jeff Cobb's going to be busy with that belt and blah blah blah. But no, I mean it's working out the way I predicted. I thought Okan would win the Never title this year, and that's kind of what's happening. So
yeah.
Semi-main event. This is a match I think. I've seen a lot of divergent opinions on. Will Ospreay defeats Hiroshi Kojima in 16:57 with the Stormbreaker. So this match, look, I get why people love this match, and the Voice Wrestling Slack, especially when I logged in there and saw a lot of people loving that match, I was really not surprised because it just seemed like the kind of match that would be up their alley. And they like Ospreay a lot more than I like Ospreay generally. It does have a slightly lower average on Grapple than I would have expected. So the Grapple average for the main event right now is 4.64, so even higher than I had it. For the semi-main, it's only 3.87, which is still very good. I mean, it's still close to 4 stars, but I would have thought, especially by looking at the Slack, I would have thought it would be even higher. But yeah, as far as this match, I mean, all it comes down to for me is, first of all, a garbage match is not what I tuned into New Japan for. I mean, this one wasn't bad, the genre or anything, but it's just not what I really want out of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And when Ospreay pulls that ladder out and nails Kojima with it and yells what's my name or whatever, it just kind of felt first of all, why are we having like a ladder in New Japan Pro Wrestling? Like, why is a ladder under the ring in New Japan when, it's not like this is a company that like does these matches or does ladder matches. Like when Ospreay brought out all these weapons with him, right? That kind of makes sense because it's like, well, you're coming into a no DQ match, but like all these other promotions that have hardcore matches, regularly, it makes sense that they would have all these weapons under the ring. But like, why is there a ladder under the ring right now? Why was there? I don't know if he brought out the guitar, if the guitar was under the ring. Maybe he brought out the guitar, but like it's just like all these different like weapons that were under the ring. It was just like very bizarre. It's like if maybe,
I think the guitar was like among the things that Ospreay actually brought out with him. But like the ladder, no, I agree. That also was like the shittiest looking ladder you've ever seen. Like that was very clear that was only a ladder that was supposed to be used for wrestling spots, because you definitely couldn't have used it for anything else, because it looked so flimsy that like if anyone would have tried to climb it, it would have immediately collapsed.
And I'm sure that sounds like a nitpick to people, so that's fine. But it's just not the kind of match I want to see in New Japan. It's just like, why is there a ladder under here? Why is there all this crap under here? At one point, they did, they blew what I consider to be one of the big spots of the match, where Kojima hits the Koji cutter, goes for a lariat, but Ospreay gets like a very sloppy counter into the powerbomb position. I mean, that's a spot that he's done many times. It usually looks good, but it was like completely blown here. Like, you know what I'm talking about, right? When he did that, like, he does that like counter of a lariat where like he goes over the top of you into the powerbomb, but here like he almost fell down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he almost fell down.
It looked like he was just like a step off or something. Yeah.
Like he almost fell down.
He was just in the wrong position.
It looked really bad. Just like watching Ospreay like break a guitar over Kojima's head like he's fucking Jeff Jarrett. And then instead of covering him, he decides to go for a table under the ring instead, where it's like, I don't know, just very, very goofy. And it's not even just me that found this match goofy, by the way, because at one point, Ospreay grabs some chairs from under the ring. He nails Kojima with it. He's like, he sets up a whole mess of chairs, and he like sits Kojima down in them or something, and the crowd starts laughing. And Ospreay even like reacts to that. He's like, ha ha, because I don't think he was expecting that. It's not the reaction they wanted, I'm sure. But like the crowd, the live crowd found this very goofy. And that's the kind of thing where like, if you love this match, I'm not trying to shit on, your wrestling taste or anything, but like, I do think it's one of these things where like, it probably worked better for Western fans that are used to this type of thing than it worked for New Japan fans who are, this kind of match does not happen in New Japan very often. And, the crowd laughing at that spot where like Ospreay is, about to try to do this like seated dive or whatever to Kojima while he's sitting on the chairs. It's like, that's an example of how the crowd just was not into this on the level, of like a serious, like, big match. Just,
No.
It was very goofy to them. But yeah, I mean, there's there's a lot of stuff. Like, okay, Ospreay like power bombs Kojima through the table, and then hits the Oz Cutter, and Kojima kicks out, and that's like, again, very silly because it's like an Oz Cutter after the power bomb through a table couldn't put away a New Japan dad. It's like, first of all, like burying that move, and second of all, it just was very like, that was like really too much for me. And then, Ospreay at one point takes a very nasty bump through the ladder at ringside, which was, definitely a really, really sick bump. Now, ELP, I praised him in the last match. He probably should have sold that as a commentator instead of doing his terrible JR impression when Ospreay fell.
Oh,
like, that was not the time.
That was legitimately my least favorite call of the entire, like, of that he did. Like, there's actually another call that he made that I'm going to defend, like, a bit late, like, when I'm going to give my thoughts on the match, but, like, that call was just terrible.
Yeah, he did, like,
I cringed when he did that. I was like, no, just, no.
He did the bye guy, he's broken in half. Like, first of all, was not even a good JR impression. And second of all, that's not the time to do that. I mean, this man, just fucking killed himself with a spot, and you made it into a joke. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
And then Marty Asami starts counting Ospreay out. Why are there countouts in a no DQ match? That usually implies no countouts too. And he hasn't done any countouts the entire match. Like, first of all, I thought he was doing like a 10 count knockout. But then he got past 10 and kept going. So it was a 20 count ring out count. And, Kojima ends up deciding he doesn't want to win that way and, picks Ospreay up and brings him back in the ring. That just felt like really silly and really unnecessary. Another problem I have with this match. But yeah, there's Ospreay, despite being dead a moment ago, somehow kicks out of the brainbuster on the chair pile right after that. Despite the fact again that he was dead and not moving after going through the ladder. Just really, really silly stuff down the stretch here. And then Ospreay suddenly recovers, again, despite being dead moments ago, and goes for their Oz Cutter. Kojima lariats him out of midair. Definitely a cool counter, at least. But then Ospreay, so he slides under another lariat attempt from Kojima. He throws a chair at him, and Kojima holds it there, just like every fucking dumb RVD opponent over the years, for Ospreay to hit the hidden blade, the running hidden blade. I guess it'd really just be the blade, because it's not hidden when you're doing it from the front. But it's a move that looks like it would hurt himself as much as his opponent. But which he then adds a normal hidden blade from behind, and then hits the Stormbreaker for the pin. But yeah, I really didn't know how to rate this one. I mean, obviously some of the spots were cool. I just don't turn into New Japan to see cool garbage wrestling spots with no real story, and a lot of the spots were just stupid. Ospreay taking that giant bump through the ladder, sounding like he's dead, only to immediately recover back in the ring. I slapped 3 stars on this ultimately as for the bumps and the effort, but I'm sure others were much higher on than me. Just not a match I loved. Just not something that I'm sure Joe Lanza is going to rave about it on the flagship this week, but just it wasn't a match that I loved at all. But,
yeah, and for me, it's also I saw all of the hype that this match got in the Slack and everything, and when I actually watched it, I came away roughly underwhelmed. But just before I forget it as well, the call from ELP that I actually really, really liked in this match was when Kojima did the elbow from the top onto the chair, and he was he hurt his elbow doing that. And ELP actually gave a really good explanation of what happened there, where he was well, obviously Kojima has no experience doing these kinds of matches, so he hit the wrong side of the chair, so it actually hurt his elbow as well, instead of just hurting Ospreay. And I thought that was actually a really good explanation of what happened, and I really, really liked that one. But yeah, otherwise the match, I mean, as you mentioned, it is very much, or it felt to me very much like a WWE hardcore match, and I just don't like these type of matches at all.
Yeah.
I'm a deathmatch guy. I really like Japanese death matches, and there's also quite a few American death matches that I really, really like. I had Ricky Shane Page versus Matt Tremont on my top 10 list for the match of the year poll, and so I'm a really big fan of a really good death match, but the WWE style of hardcore matches just isn't that at all. It's just a bunch of contrived spots and everything. And I did the start of the match that had it showed that weirdly this has been the hottest feud in the promotion, where these two just started out where Ospreay teased him diving onto Kojima during his entrance and everything. And that was really, really cool. And then both just kind of started laying into each other. And I thought oh yeah, this match is going to be really, really cool. And then it was just kind of an Extreme Rules main event from 2011 or something.
Yeah.
And that just isn't the type of match that I like. Because I'm just not a fan of the WWE style. Regardless of the match stipulation, there's very, very few of these WWE style matches that ever really connect with me very, very strongly, and this just felt too much like that. It obviously both men tried hard, so I can't really say that it was a bad match, but it was just an okay match. But I guess at least maybe Kojima managed to make his case to be in G1 this year, hopefully. Maybe come on, he needs one last ride. Because he's still really, really good. So that's probably the best thing I took away from this match.
Match number 3, the Great Okan defeats Hiroshi Tenzan in 12:45 with the Dominator. Of course, this was the Mongolian Chop contra Mongolian Chop match, so Tenzan can no longer use the chop. I thought this was good. I mean, this match has a pretty poor rating on Cage Match or Gravel right now, 2.97. I thought it was quite a bit better than that. Okan, just was working over Tenzan to start with various holds. That was probably the most boring part of the match. Is just kind of like was putting on one hold after another for like the first 5 minutes or so. But Tenzan, came back with a nice mule kick, starts laying into Okan with the Mongolian chops, which sends him rolling to the floor to escape. And then he beats on him back in the ring, even rakes Okan's eyes, which, I really like him showing off, like, this man used to be a big heel. I mean, for a lot of his career, he was a heel with, first with Okani Gundan and NWO Japan and Team 2000. And of course, he found a Great Bash heel. I don't think he was in Black New Japan. I think that was the one he finally wasn't in. But, he was he was in heel units for a lot of his career. And, he definitely got to show off some of that vicious streak here. He used Okan's ponytail for leverage as well, and then gave him this awesome knee-assisted bulldog off the middle rope. That looked nasty. So, and then did a diving Mongolian chop off the second rope for good measure. He called for the TTD. Okan escaped and gave him that front Russian leg sweep, which of course is the stroke, as ELP noted. That was pretty funny. He's like, you just gave him the stroke. I just thought that was funny. He tries for the Dominator. Tenzan fights that with Mongolian chops. Okan hits his own chop, and they finally have the Mongolian chop off. I like that they made people wait for that. I thought they were going to do that right from the opening bell, but they really made people wait for the Mongolian chop off. So I think that was probably actually smart in hindsight. And Tenzan suddenly hits a nice running lariat out of nowhere, as this match at this point had really picked up from those first 5 minutes. And Tenzan gets the Anaconda Vice on, followed by the Anaconda Vice Buster for a 2 count. As we get the 10-minute call, he goes for the moonsault. Okan rolls out of the way. Tenzan honestly barely fully rotated, so thank God he just made it around and didn't break his neck. Okan tries for the TTD again, but eats a headbutt right to the face from Tenzan, really stiff one. And then Tenzan goes for his own TTD. Okan rolls out of it, hits a bicycle kick. That was kind of a glancing blow. What can you do? He covers for a 2 count and then hits his neck-breaking TTD of death from New Year's Dash. But Tenzan kicks out at 2 again. And finally, Okan hits the Dominator, and that is the pin. I thought this was a pretty damn good match by the end. I mean, Tenzan worked super hard with his limitations. Okan was great as the cocky dickhead who almost got shown up, but ended up putting him away, pretty decisively in the end. So I went 3.5 on this. I thought it was a damn good match. Definitely about as good as you could do with Tenzan at this point. And after the match, Okan, tosses Uemura aside, taunts Tenzan and stomps on him. And then Tenzan does a great job looking upset after Okan leaves too. So, the crowd was really loudly clapping for him afterwards. So.
Yeah, no, this was a ton of fun. I agree. I thought this was the second best match on the show.
Yep, I
and
agree.
Probably the third best match among across the 2 shows that we're reviewing today. And Tenzan worked really hard to put Okan over. Obviously that's the goal of the match is to put Okan over as the next big guy, and I think that worked really, really well here. Obviously Tenzan is limited at this stage of his career, but I think he really pulled out all of the stops that he still has, and he really went all out to really try and make a guy, and I think he achieved that as well. Okan got put over strongly here, and as I mentioned before, it became very apparent when they started this feud that New Japan really sees him as the next Tenzan essentially, and this is even more apparent now that he has the Mongolian chops.
Match number 2, the team of Kota Ibushi, Tomoaki Hama, Sho, and Master Wato defeat the LIJ team of Sanada, Naito, Hiromu, and Bushi. Sho pins Bushi in 11:32 with the shock arrow. This is pretty good. There was a, not anything that you have to watch or anything. I mean, definitely skippable, but, the LIJ was working over Hama for a while. Naito was really targeting Hama's neck, and then all 4 members just stomped the crap out of him. And that's the side of LIJ I like to see, and I haven't really seen much of from Sanada and Hiromu throughout this tour in particular before this match, but I guess Naito just brings it out of them. But yeah, Ibushi gets a real nice hot tag. He just like flips all over the place. He takes out Hiromu and Bushi on the apron, goes after his title opponent Sanada. Sanada fights back. We get some pretty decent back and forth action with the two of them. Nothing that will make you like circle February 11th on with like red ink on your calendar or anything like that, but good stuff. Hiromu and Sho tag in and bring even more excitement with like their really fast paced like striking and running around. And I'm looking forward to that match more, honestly, on February 10th. So that should be really good. And then Sho pins Bushi with the shock arrow for the win. Fun little match here. I would go about 3 1/4. A big improvement on the opener, which we're going to mention in a second.
Yeah, no. I like that this match really put like a little bit more development, a little bit more heat on like one of the biggest feuds in the company, which is obviously Naito versus Honma.
It's so weird.
That was
it's
nice
so
because
weird how much more focus that feud has gotten than any of the actual top feuds.
It got more focus in this match than like the fucking title program did. It's so weird. Like Ibushi and Sanada barely interacted, and like it just feels like I don't know. I'm kind of baffled by how they booked this title match. Like obviously, like Sanada doesn't have like the snowball's chance in hell to like win the match, but like they could at least try and present him as a credible challenger, and they just have chosen not to do that.
Yeah, the Sanada build is really weird. I have no idea what they're doing or what the point of it is. But yeah, EOP in this match really annoyed the shit out of me. And like he had one line in the pre-match. Like at this point, I actually wrote down he might be the worst commentator of all time. He might actually be worse as a commentator than he is as a wrestler. But like I said, he improved a lot in the last 3 matches. But between these 2 matches, I was really mad. At one point, he says, Ibushi looks like he's carved out of granite, which is ironic since he's dumb as a rock. How would that be ironic? I think the word you're actually looking for is fitting. But I mean, it's possible I'm being like worked here, and he did that on purpose to sound stupid. Like he's supposed to sound like a dumb troll or whatever. But like, yeah, you sound like an idiot, buddy. I don't like that was a really bad line. But yeah, this was a good little match. The opener, last thing we were talking about here, this was not that good of a match at all. Toru Yano and Kazuchika Okada defeating Evil and Yujiro Takahashi. Yano pins Yujiro in 740 with a schoolboy. Okada was like in extra goofy mode with the clapping before the match for some reason. Just had a really goofy one on in general in this match. And it's like, buddy, aren't you supposed to like really want a match with Evil? Like, aren't you supposed to? Isn't your character right now supposed to be like mad that Evil won't give you the singles rematch from beating you in the New Japan Cup final? Because you don't seem that mad to me. You sound like an idiot. You seem like an idiot right now. And like he went after Dick Togo, and he and Yano threw him in the ring. They gave him a very gentle, like even more gentle than usual version of that drumming thing the Chaos guys do, the drumming on the back. And it's just real goofball shit. And the match was like really dull. Lots of shenanigans. Not much else going on. And Yano eventually low blows Yujiro and gets the pin while he's fighting with Dick Togo over the fucking pimp cane. Really poor open here. Nothing much going for it. I went like 2 stars. Just not good at all. And then afterwards, goofball Okada plays the drums with his thunder sticks. Like, does anyone... Okay, we have a great comparison here. Okada and Naito both doing nothing on this tour. Naito's doing nothing is like having this cool feud with Hanma, which is about the best anyone could get out of Tomoaki Hanma at this stage of his career. And, you know, actually kind of having fun with it and, like, really, like, you know, doing some great promos, too. Like, saying, you know, all this stuff about is your effort really enough and, you know, really kind of making a fun little story out of it and, you know, working, like, you know, really vicious on him during these matches. Okada's idea of doing nothing, you're matched up with, I guess, the top heel in the company, especially with Jay White not here. I mean, whatever you want to say about Evil, it's a lot easier to have a interesting and good feud with Evil than it is with fucking Tomoaki Hanma. And Okada's doing a much worse job at having an interesting and good feud with Evil than Naito is with Tomoaki Hanma. I just want to make that point because, like, you know, I get that they're stalling here until, you know, they're actually going to do the singles match, probably at Castle Attack. But man, like, you know, can't you just take this seriously or something? Like, stop acting like a fucking dipshit. Like, it just, like, it was actually making me kind of mad. Because it's like, you're not matched up with, like, you know, a low-ranked guy here. You're matched up against a guy who was double champion, you know, a few months ago. Like, you could take it a little more seriously than, I'm playing drums with the thunder sticks. I don't know. Just very, very bizarre shit from Okada here. And I just think it's a very interesting comparison here with, both Okada and Naito are not featured on this tour, obviously, but what Naito's doing while not being featured is a lot more interesting than what Okada's doing. So,
look, what this tells me that both Sonata and Evil feuds right now are kind of bad, and that both of them are probably going to lose their big match, their big singles matches coming up as well. And it's obviously what this is going to lead to is soon they're both going to meet up and be you know what, we just can't cut it as singles guys. Let's just be a mediocre tag team that works for, third from the top, and let's just be that for the rest of our careers. And you know what? I think I can be happy with that if they come to that conclusion.
I love that tag team. I don't even think it's mediocre, but
I don't know. I remember at Dominion when
Evil
that
and
match Sonata
sucks.
came out, and everyone went to the toilet. Literally everyone.
Wait, whoa! You think that was about Evil and Sonata and not their opponents?
Well, wait, I don't remember. Did they start going to the toilet when Evil and Sonata's music hit, or did they start going to the toilet when the GOD music hit?
But they know what the match is, though. I mean, look, Sonata finished 7th in the Weekly Pro Wrestling most popular wrestler poll.
True.
I mean,
where did Evil finish again?
52nd, 48th or something. He's fallen way off since. Look, going from LIJ to Bullet Club is not going to help your popularity.
I mean,
in Japan.
it is, but where did White and Kenta finish?
White finished 22nd. I think Kenta finished pretty high, actually. I don't remember exactly where, but you're right. Kenta did finish pretty high. White, I think, was 21st, 22nd.
That's a bit concerning that the guy that is supposed to be the head of Bullet Club just falling into the abyss immediately after what was technically the biggest year of his career.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, I was pretty stunned he was that low, but I mean, you can tell when you watch these shows that he has his fans. I mean, these people show up with the with banners and stuff, but yeah, the Weekly Pro Wrestling readership is not among them apparently because he finished very low on that poll. But yeah, that was New Beginning Nagoya. I thought a strong show with it. I mean, the main event is must watch. I think the rest of it is, pretty skippable. I mean, some of you probably liked Kojima Ospreay a lot better than I did. I mean, I would watch Tenzan Okada. I think that's just a great last performance.
I think that match even more it's a good match, not a great match, but I think it's an important match.
Yeah.
Because you can see it as the start of Okan's big push. So I think you need to watch it just for historical purposes, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. The upcoming New Japan schedule, so they're back at Korakuen for 3 straight nights this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, on Road to New Beginning. The main event on Monday, so basically now GOD and the Dangerous Techers are back on the tour. So, I mean, they haven't been on the tour at all so far. They're back for the first time since New Year's Dash. So the main event on Monday is an elimination match. GOD, Ishimori, Phantasmo, and Jado, for some reason, against the Dangerous Techers. Oh, Jado because the Doki feud. Jado and Doki are having a feud, everybody. One of the weirdest feuds of all time. Anyway, so the 5 of them are up against Dangerous Techers, Taichi and Zack, Desperado and Kanemaru, and Doki in an elimination match. That could be kind of fun. I actually kind of am curious what a Suzuki-gun versus Bullet Club elimination match will look like. So
there's going to be so much cheating in that match. It's probably going to be actually kind of fun, but yeah, holy shit, the amount of interference is going to be nuts.
It's only a 4-match card because of the elimination match, and they have to go 2 hours. But yeah, then pretty standard stuff otherwise. And then the Tuesday show, another elimination match main event. This time it's Chaos against Bullet Club. So Okada, Yano, Goto, Ishii, and Yoshihashi against Evil, God, Yujiro, and Dick Togo. Again, nothing really of note on the undercard. Taguchi and Uemura against the Junior Tag Champions. That's, I guess, something different. Ishimori and Phantasmo. I don't know if that'll lead to something there, but probably not. They'll probably just lose. And then Wednesday, we have Ibushi and Master Wato against Sonata and Bushi as the main event, with Naito and Sho against, or Naito and Hiromu against Hanma and Sho as a semifinal. And then they take a weird, 5 days off. They come back on Monday, February 8th with a 4th Korakuen show And that one's headlined by Ibushi and Sho against Sanada and Hiromu, which that could be really good actually. That's like clearly the biggest tag of the tour. So, straight up 2 versus 2. And then you have Honma.
Yeah, that hopefully should be good, and hopefully that will put some heat on like the title match.
Yeah, and then Honma and Wato against Naito and Bushi semifinal, and then a 6-man with Dangerous Tekkers and Doki against God and Jado. And then after that, of course, we have New Beginning in Hiroshima. So that'll be Wednesday, February 10th. That is headlined by Hiromu versus Sho for the junior title, and then a semi-main event of God against Taichi and Zack for the tag titles. Hope to God the Dangerous Tekkers from the belts back. And then we have Ibushi and Honma against Sanada and Naito. So, one last tight match there for Ibushi and Sanada. And then also Master Wato versus Bushi, which they've been building all tour. So there you go. February.
Yeah, that'll put butts in seats.
February 11th, the definition of a one-match show on Thursday, February 11th. The main event, Kota Ibushi against Sanada for the heavyweight intercontinental titles. Semi-main event is Dangerous Tekkers and Doki against God and Jado, which is like, what a semi-main. Okada and Yano against Evil and Dick Togo third from the top. I mean, just nothing else on this card. So it's all on Ibushi and Sanada. But yeah, and then, you get all 3 days off before Road to Castle Attack starts. Sunday, February 14th with the Korakuens. And then Castle Attack from Osaka-jo Hall is the end of February. So yeah, pretty condensed schedule here for New Japan right now. So
and we also get the New Beginning in USA as well, right? With Kenta versus Mox.
That's true too. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So Moxley attacked Kenta on the last episode of New Japan Strong. I never watched New Japan Strong at this point, so I totally forgot about that. But yes, I did actually turn it on just to watch the end of the show to see that. But yeah, Moxley attacked Kenta. I believe that's February 26th or something. It's the end of the month. I remember it's like the same time as Castle Attack, so it's like the day before. So yeah, it's Friday, February 26th. So like the day before Castle Attack, there'll be. I mean, that match is already taped, so it'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll air that day. But yeah, I guess.
Do you think Kenta will turn up at Castle Attack? Because obviously, the match was taped probably already months ago or weeks ago.
Yeah, it's possible.
So he could in theory make it back to Japan.
I mean, Minoru Suzuki teased that he wanted to fight Kenta, so maybe they'll do something to tease to set that up for the anniversary show on March 4th. I mean, that could be.
Yeah, that would make a ton of sense. Yeah.
So that could happen. Because otherwise, I mean, there's really nowhere else for it to happen because after the anniversary show, they go straight to New Japan Cup. So, but yeah. Anyway, so that is your New Japan report. Some cool stuff coming up. A lot of Korakuens coming up. I mean, I always tell people get I don't know, people get weirdly mad about the Korakuens, but do not pay close attention to these Korakuens. I mean, they're house shows for the most part that they're running because they have to make some money on ticket sales, I presume. I would not recommend watching all of them with super close attention. I put them on as background noise while I'm working, during the day working from home. So and then I pay attention to a main event or something. But yeah, I mean, these are not these are very skippable shows. I mean, definitely not much.
Oh yeah, no. Here. I skipped a bunch of them, and the ones I've watched, I was half paying attention while I was doing a couple of runs in Hades. So
yeah, so there you go. There's our New Japan report. Let's move over to Noah for the Higher Ground 2021 show that was January 31st at Korakuen Hall. So this actually today on Sunday, it was 11:30. It was the wonderful 11:30 a.m. Japan start time, which is currently 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So, just a great time for me to be able to watch it live.
Not for me.
Not for you. No, it was 2:30 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. or something. But yeah, so this show, the big thing with the show, I mean, this was a lot of hype tags for the upcoming Budokan show. There's 2 matches here that I think are very, very much worth watching, which are the top 2 matches. The rest of the card, very skippable. So we'll get into that here as we review it. The main event, starting at the top again, they went quite a long time here. The team of Keiji Muto, Naomichi Marufuji, and Seiki Yoshioka defeating the team of Go Shiozaki, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Daisuke Harada in 27-15. Muto I don't know if he pins. He submitted Shiozaki, right, with the figure four. So yeah, I don't have anything written down here on the results for some reason. But yeah, he submitted Shiozaki, I believe. But yeah, this was a really good 6-man. I thought the second best match on the show, and there were parts of it that dragged a little bit, but they're basically building up 3 different singles matches here. Obviously, Go versus Muto for the GHC title, but also Kaito versus Marufuji and Harada. Oh no, it's a singles match. Kaito versus Marufuji and Harada versus Yoshioka for the junior title.
Yeah.
So oh no, it isn't. It's a tag. I'm sorry. It's Marufuji and Akiyama against Kaito and Inamura. That's what I thought it was. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I second guessed myself there, but yeah, they were building up 3 different matches here. So definitely a good, I thought good build here, especially for the 2 title matches. Muto is gonna be a little bit slow at points. I mean, that's just what it is. What it is. I mean, there was like one kind of embarrassing moment where Muto was trying to catch Go's leg on a kick from the corner and just like completely missed. I mean, like totally whiffed on it. And they both kind of just stood there like they had no idea what to do for a second before Muto finally just grabbed his leg and like did the dragon screw he had obviously planned to do anyway. But yeah, I mean, that other than that though, I thought Muto did about as well as he could have done here. My favorite part of the match was actually for like Marufuji Kiyomiya. Kiyomiya has this like obviously injured arm. Marufuji was trying to target it, and he ran to this high knee from Kiyomiya, and then Marufuji came back by countering a Tiger suplex attempt with this awesome Tiger driver like straight into an armbar. That was so cool. And then he like rolled him up into the perfect key lock on the injured arm, right on the injured arm. And the match was already like, obviously it went very long, and I think it was like probably 15 or 20 minutes in at this point. And I honestly thought that could have been the finish. So, I mean, Kiyomiya did escape, but yeah, that was a really, really cool sequence. We had an earlier tap out tease with Muto getting Go in the figure 4 before Go finally made the ropes. But then all 3 guys like took turns kicking at Go's leg as a team. That was also really cool. And that led to Muto hitting the Shining Wizard. Only got a 2 count. And then Muto locked on the figure 4 and Go submitted. And Muto gets the big win over Go heading into the Budokan. I like Noah in general is much more willing to have their big guys lose tag matches like this. Like it happens in the semi-main event too. And I remember leading up to the title match during the N1, Go pinned Nakajima during a tag match too, which was definitely not something you expect. But yeah, they're much. It's kind of like a double-edged sword because on one hand, if you don't protect your guys as much, it becomes like, are they really on a different level? But on the other hand, it just makes for much less predictable tag matches than you see in like a New Japan, where like obviously your top stars are never losing falls in those tag matches. But yeah, I definitely thought that was interesting and something I wanted to point out. But yeah, this was a really good match. I mean, it took a little bit to get going, but by the end, I was really into it. All 3 pairings did great hype work for Budokan. So I went 3 3/4 on this one. Really, really fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought this was a really good tag match, and as I said, it built like the Budokan show really, really well. And everyone worked hard. And I'm just kind of curious how this like Go Shiozaki like Muto match is going to go, because like I would have assumed that like Muto's definitely taking the title off of Go, but now I'm not so sure anymore. Yeah. Because Muto hasn't really been presented as like a super strong challenger, and like he got the tap out victory in this match obviously, but like if you look at like how he actually got it, it wasn't really like that he was like put over super strongly here either, because he basically needed like Yoshioka and like Marufuji were like in the ring and just like blatantly interfering and just annihilating Go's knee before the finish, and only that's how like Muto actually managed to get the win. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if he is actually taking the title, and I don't think he should take the title off of Go given the way Go's reign has gone, but I could also still totally see them do it anyway. But like I'm definitely less sure that like Muto is taking the title off of Go at this stage.
The semi-main event, Masakatsu Funaki and Masao Tanaka defeating Kano and Manabu Soya. Funaki gets the ref stoppage with a rear naked sleeper on a rear naked choke, I guess, on Kano in 1801. And that, of course, again, is set, we already know that Kano is defending the GHC national title, their number 2 title, against Funaki at the Budokan. But yeah, I mean, this match was awesome. This was match of the night for me. Funaki and Kano, they had this really intense standing exchange, and like both guys were like hitting some really hard kicks and other strikes that were like partially blocked. And they ended up on the mat after that for like, more slow paced mat work. But that like suddenly resulted in like this cross arm breaker tease from Funaki. But Kano makes the ropes very quickly to break. If you're not familiar with Masakatsu Funaki, he's just such a, he came up through the UWF. He was a big Pancrase guy. He's one of the, the early founders of that, along with Minoru Suzuki and some other dudes. And, before he finally went back into pro wrestling in the early 2000s. And, he's just everything he does just looks really legit. And even as a 51-year-old now, I mean, like, just, he looks really, really good on the mat. His striking looks really, really good. He's just one of these guys that, like, just everything he does looks real. They go back on the mat where Funaki remains dominant. He eventually gets some kind of, like, cravat-like hold that, sends Kano scurrying to the ropes again. And just, like, really great action throughout, especially from Kano and Funaki. At one point, much later on, he almost drops Kano right on his head with a backdrop suplex. That was just a huge backdrop. Tanaka and Soya did some good stuff too. But, like, to me, the focus here was Kano and Funaki. And Funaki, finally chokes Kano out with the sleeper for the win. Gives him a direct win over the national champion heading into Budokan. And, yeah, I thought this rocked. I mean, I went 4 stars on it. Might be a little high, but, like, I just thought these... It could have been just coming after the first 4 matches we're going to talk about here very quickly, I'm sure, where, like, it felt like everybody was in first gear the entire night. I mean, these 4 put in more effort than any one of the first 4 matches combined. I mean, so that could have even been, like, maybe primed to like this one even more. But, yeah, I thought this match was awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, this was my second favorite match across. Like, this was my favorite match of this show. And it was my second favorite match across both shows that we review. And it was just really cool. And it's nice to, like, see Funaki be properly motivated as well. Like, somehow, like, Noah has, like, managed to, like, motivate all of these shooter guys that, like, normally can have, like, sometimes these guys just, like, don't give a shit, like Funaki or Sakuraba as well. But somehow... like, Noah has found a way, Nosawa has, like, found a way to, like, really get these guys fired up to, like, try properly. And, like, Funaki, when he tries, is, like, one of the best still, even at 50 years old. Yeah. And him versus Kano is going to rule so much. Like, that's probably the match at Budokan that I'm most excited for, because these two are just going to, like, beat the hell out of each other. And I also love the finish of this match, where Kano got choked out, but because he has such a big chip on his shoulder that he just, like, he goes unconscious, but he doesn't close his eyes. Like, he gets choked out with his eyes open because he is just so stubborn and refuses to give up that he even while he's unconscious, he refuses to close his eyes. I just love Kano. He's just awesome.
Match number, I like Kano too. I think Kano's one of these guys that gets, like, he gets a lot of hate online. I never really understand it. Like, there's a lot of people on Twitter who think he sucks, and yeah, I don't really get it. I think he kind of rolls, but
I don't know. Kano is kind of my spirit animal in wrestling because there's a lot of, like, similarities between him and me, I guess. Like, kind of, like, not small, but like about average height maybe guy who has a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Yeah, it's a lot of similarities.
I don't know. Like Kano. Like, look, he could do some goofy shit sometimes. Like, there was one spot that was going around that looked like it was out of, like, that Brit Res thing or something where they're, like, trading way too fast in a way that looks stupid. But, I don't know. Most of the time, I really like him. So, I guess I'll be out, like, on my island with Kano.
Like, I think, the Abima ratings or whatever that they do, right, they always have him, like, intensity at 10. And, like, that's really, like, if you need to sum him up in one word, it's intensity.
Match number 4. This was another hype match for the junior tag title match. The champions Ogawa and Hayata teaming up with Susumu from Freedoms taking on the trio of Kotaro Suzuki, Ikuto Hidaka, and Nosawa Rongai. It's Kotaro and Hidaka who are getting the title shot. But yeah, Hayata pins Kotaro in 10:44. This was fine. I don't know. It was actually not even fine. I would say this felt like it was really average. I mean, very much stuck in first gear. I really didn't even have anything that was like literally noteworthy until the finish. I didn't take any notes on it other than Hayata spiking Kotaro with the Rana. That short range Rana he does on the mat for the pin. Yeah, I went 2.5. Very average stuff here.
Yeah, no, don't really have much to say either. Like, I do like that Hidaka has been added apparently to like the Noah Junior division. Like, he can only help because he's still really good.
Wasn't he?
But like,
just in
otherwise,
All
I
Japan?
mean,
Wasn't
he was in All Japan recently. He had a match with Iwamoto,
Yeah.
and
He's
I
gonna-
guess now he's a Noah. So
he gets
who
around.
knows? Yeah,
I
he
guess-
gets around. I mean, it's nice. It's nice that he finally like branches out a bit more because
He was
he
stuck
was
in
kind
0-1,
of one of the
right?
like. Yeah, exactly. He was like one of like Japan's like junior division like best kept secret in general because he
Yeah.
mostly stuck to 0-1. So it's nice that like finally and like the tail end of his career he like finally gets out there and actually gains some notoriety. And then I don't know. Otherwise, it's Noah's junior division. So I guess like just predicting something random. I guess Ogawa's gonna turn on Hayata and join back with Kotaro Suzuki because why not?
But yeah, the third match here, this was the big disappointment on the card. The Aggression, Kazuhiko Nakajima and Masa Kitamiya defeating Takashi Sugiura and Kendo Kashin. Kitamiya pinning Sugiura in 14-16 with the Saito suplex. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's some hard kicking with Nakajima and Sugiura as you'd expect, but there really wasn't a lot else to this match for me, especially for like, if you told me these four guys they go 14 minutes, I would be into it. But like I just thought, it rarely got out of first gear again, besides a few of those Nakajima Sugiura kicking sequences, and just wasn't a lot to it again. So I went 3 stars. It was fine, gentleman's 3, but I would have thought this would be like 3.5 easy. So.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. I actually watched most of these like undercard matches on the show at like 1.7 speed because Ibima gives you that option. And I actually was like slowing it down when Nakajima came out because like you can't play his theme at 1.7 speed. Like you need to listen to that properly. But then Kendo Kashin came out and was immediately like, oh yeah, okay, no, never mind, and just put the speed right back up. And yeah, it was fine. It was nothing special, and still curious that they don't have a tag title match at Budokan, but whatever. But I guess this will be like the next tag title match since Kitamiya pinned Segura. And I think that's more to like the point you made earlier, that Noah isn't afraid to pin the bigger stars, because they easily could have had Kendo Kashin take the pin here, but they had Segura pin. So yeah, I guess that's a good way to set up the match at least.
It's not going to be the tag title match at Budokan. It's going to be in your Yogi apparently.
Yeah,
So,
no, there is no tag title match at Budokan because we're
not
going to talk
Yogi, I'm
about
sorry.
the Budokan match afterwards. I guess.
Yokohama
So,
Budokan. Yokohama Budokan is where it's going to happen. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. Like I like Kendo Kashin, and I like all 4 of these guys, so I expected better, but there really wasn't much to it. I will note, by the way, so apparently Jojo Remy, who's been on the show before, he noted in the Voice Wrestling Slack that Katsuhiko Nakajima's nickname is now apparently Congo's Joker. So you can add him to the list of great wrestling jokers, I guess. There's been many. Match number 2, Atsushi Kotoge, Yoshiki Inamura, and Daiki Inaba defeating the team of Muhammad Yone, Shuhei Taniguchi, and Yohei. Inamura pinned Yone in 8:58. Kind of a big pin for him, actually. The big highlight for me this one was like Yohei's casual disco dancing as he came out to Yone's theme song. That was really funny. The best part of the actual match was probably Maybach's or the former Maybach, I should say, his little period running wild, which was really fun. Mainly his big delayed backdrop suplex, but just in general. I love Taniguchi. I'm kind of a mark for him, and always kind of sad that he never gets pushed more because he's really fun. I don't like Inamura's like new. I guess they're not really new. I guess they're going back to what he originally wore. But his solid black tights, they were a very weird look for him. I don't like that look for him at all. And I don't know. He's such a weird guy to break off from Congo in general, because like big heel and big heavy for a heel unit just seems like his natural disposition. Like his natural state. And this kind of awkward face thing kind of reminds me of like those bizarre CyberKong babyface turns in Dragon Gate. Just feels like going against his natural state, but I don't know. I mean, some of the
I
people
guess,
seem to...
but like I get why they broke him off since they already have Kitamiya and Soya, and to have Inamura as well, you have three heavies at that stage.
Yeah,
So I
that's fair.
get why they had to get rid of one of them.
I mean, I if anything, well, I don't know. Maybe I still think he might be the third best one to do that with, but whatever. He's in a big match at Budokan, the big tag match. So we'll see where it goes from there. Maybe he'll debut new gear there or something. But so far, just like his presentation outside of Congo isn't doing much for me. But yeah, he got the pin here. Fun little match. I would say like 3 stars again.
Yeah, no, I agree. Nothing much really, but I do like that Inamura is getting pushed. I actually really, really like Inamura. I think he has a ton of potential, but then again, he's also kind of the type of wrestler that I really, really like, just a heavy bruiser. So I hope, but I agree with you that his look isn't the best right now, and it still very much feels like it's definitely not going to be his permanent look. There's no way that this is how he's going to look for the rest of his career, and I really hope that they debut his new gear soon. I mean, he has been teaming with Kiyomiya recently as well, and I think maybe that they're going to keep that team permanently going forward, and maybe those two are going to form a stable or something, or maybe get like more like gear, like tag team gear together or something like that, and hopefully that will be his new look as well.
Yeah. The opener, the 6-man tag, the Congo trio of Tadasuke, Hao and Neo, defeating the team of Yasu Takayano, Kinya Okada, and Junta Miyawaki. Tadasuke pins Yano in 10-12 with his lariat. This was an opener. I don't know. I mean, like the highlight again was Tadasuke going up to the corner cam just to adjust his glasses. That was pretty funny. But, standard Young Lions versus veteran stuff here. Pretty decent. Nothing special. 2 3/4.
Yeah, no, it was fine. I really, really like the young guys that Noah got going. So I think they have a ton of potential, and hopefully they kind of start moving some of them up soon. Obviously, Yano is still brand new, so he's going to be in these opening matches for a while longer. But I think the other two are actually rather ready to move up a bit more soon and get involved in some proper feuds. So I hope they're going to start doing that soon. And then on the other end of the match, that's something that's been bothering me for a while now. But I think the gimmick of Tadasuke is just a really bad fit for Congo. Like, it just is completely the opposite of what the rest of the faction is. It just, he would, it's like he got sent a memo of oh, you're going to be in this heel unit. And he's just oh, I'm going to play a heel, and then didn't check at all what the rest of the faction is doing. He feels like a guy from a different faction that snuck in and still does his old shtick.
It is really funny. I kind of like it because it's so stupid, but yeah, I get it. But yeah, so that's it for Noah. I mean, the top 2 matches here were really good, so I would say check those out. The rest of this card, you really don't gotta watch it. I mean, it's really skippable stuff. But if you do have time, you can go on. People always say I should say where to watch this stuff if it's not obvious, which I always forget to do. But yeah, you can check out Abema. If you just search for abema.tv and Noah, I think it'll come up. But it's a free service, and you can watch this show for free, I believe, for a week. So I think it's a week after when it airs. You can watch it for free on there. And then at that point, it moves to Wrestle Universe, which is a subscription. But yeah, definitely check it out. But yeah, that's the Noah show. So some upcoming Noah stuff. Obviously, the big show is February 12th at the Nippon Budokan, which I will go over the card now. But that week is going to be crazy, just for Japanese wrestling shows and for this podcast, because, we're going to do a show probably on Sunday, February 14th, 2 weeks from now. And that week has New Beginning Hiroshima, February 10th and 11th, Noah Nippon Budokan, February 12th, and DDT's Big Kawasaki show, February 14th, which has the Takeshita versus Akiyama. Not Takeshita, I'm sorry. Endo versus Akiyama. DDT KOD title match. So, I mean, that'll be a crazy podcast to do. Just a crazy, a crazy week of Japanese wrestling. And it's not the only one like that either, because Sunday the 28th has the 2 Castle Attack shows, the big All Japan Korakuen from the 23rd, Noah has a Korakuen on the 24th. The DDT has a Korakuen on the 28th. So, I mean, we'll try to cover all that too, probably. But, yeah, it's going to be a pretty crazy couple of weeks in February. For some reason, like, there's nothing the weekend of February 7th, and there's nothing the weekend of February 21st. So, everyone put their fucking shows, on those 2 weeks. So, or they're pretty big shows too. So, I don't know why they did that, but because they hate me, I guess. But yeah, the February 12th Budokan show, Friday, February 12th, which again we will cover on this show. The Back to Budokan, their first time there, in like at least 8 years, right? I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm gonna look
because
at
there have been like multiple people in Noah who've made it their mission to take Noah back to Budokan.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it real quick because I'm curious now. Let's see. Arena Nippon Budokan. I guessed. What did I guess? I guessed 8 years. Okay. I did have it almost exactly right. So people hate when I give myself a pat on the back, but I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for that one. It was May 11th, 2013, the Noah final burning in Budokan, and that was headlined by Jun Akiyama, Keiji Muto, Kensuke Sasaki, and Kenta Kobashi, beating Go Shiozaki, Kenta, Maybach, and Kanemaru. Presumably that's the Kobashi retirement match, I think. So.
Probably, yeah. Because otherwise it's weird, like, you would headline a Budokan with that match.
Yeah. Let me just double check. Yes, it's definitely the Kobashi retirement match. So there you go. So yeah, that's the last time they ran the Budokan. So first time back in almost 8 years. But yeah, so the Budokan card, it opens up with a tag team match. Actually 2 old guys against 2 young guys. Akitashi Saito and Masao Inoue versus Daiki Inaba and Kinya Okada. Poor Inaba, like, he's really done nothing in Noah since he came over. Like, I just expect them to be doing more than this, But
they also teased a feud with Marufuji, and then that just never went anywhere. Like, I actually assumed that was going to be a match on the show, and they just pivoted away from that.
Instead, he's in this opening tag, so whatever. Then a 6-man tag, Kotoge, Miyawaki, and Yano against Hajime Ohara, Yohei, and Kawai Fujimura? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that first name. But yes, there you go. A 6-man tag team match. Very standard stuff here. Mohamed Yone and Shuhei Taniguchi against Masaki Mochizuki from Dragon Gate and Masao Tanaka. Seems like a little bit of a waste of Mochizuki to me, but, we'll see.
He has been somewhat of a regular, though, for M's Alliance, but yeah.
Could be a good little match. Then a 12-man tag team match. So Takashi Sugera, Kazushi Sakuraba, Kazuyuki Fujita, fucking Kazunori Murakami, let's go. Kendo Kashin and Nosawa Rangai against the Kongo team of Nakajima, Masa Kitamiya, Manabu Soya, Hao, Neo, and Tadasuke. So people were really annoyed they're not doing the tag title match here. They're doing it instead. Sugera and Sakuraba against Nakajima and Kitamiya. It's going to be March 7th at the Yokohama Budokan. But, I guess they feel like they got to save some matches. I don't know.
Yeah, but still, like, this is like your big return, like, to Nippon Budokan after, as you said, 8 years.
Yeah.
And you're not going to give us a tag title match, and instead you're going to give us this clusterfuck because you want to fit everyone onto the card.
This could be fun, though. Come on. Like,
it could be fun.
Murakami's going to get in there. I'm gonna have a blast with that. But...
But look, you could have easily just like split off the like tag title match and still have like the leftover people like do this match anyway.
That's fair. I mean, there is a strong top 5 here, but there's like a, it's a top 5 and then a bottom 5. Very clear delineation here. Then we get to the meat of the card here. A GHC Junior Tag Team title match. Yoshinari Ogawa and Hayata against Kotaro Suzuki and Ikuta Hodaka. That could be really good. Could be a title change here. I don't know. Do you think there'll be a title change?
Yeah, no, I expect that as well. But I mean, as I said, this is like the Noah Juniors, so you could also easily there could be a title change. There could also be a turn. There could be both of those things, or there could be multiple turns. We'll see.
Then we have a GHC Junior Singles title match. Daisuke Harada against Seki Yoshioka. I would expect Harada to retain here, but I wouldn't mind Yoshioka winning.
No, I mean, I really like Yoshioka, but not to steal verbiage from Joe Lanza, Yoshioka is a good mid-level junior.
Yeah.
And so I don't really expect him to win this match, but I mean, I don't know. I think like a good short reign for Yoshioka could do good things for him, but also like just building up like a big Harada reign, I guess, would be really good for the division too.
Match number 3 has the tagline Noah Generation, Naomichi Marufuji and Jun Akiyama against Kaito Kiyomiya and Yoshiki Inamura. Of course, this is Akiyama's big return to Noah. He has not been there in quite some time. I'm going to look up exactly when it was. I think it was like, what? He jumped in like, oh no, he did 2019. He did a match in 2019. My bad.
Was that the show where Kenta and Marufuji?
No, this was Idioma in Osaka. So it was him, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Keiji Muto against Masaki Mochizuki, Naomichi Marufuji, and Suri Taniguchi. So so it's his first time back in 2 years. Not quite as long as I would have guessed.
Was that the Misawa tribute show or something?
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. And then the Marufuji show, he was there in 2018 as well in the semi-main event. He and Atsuki Ayaki faced Daisuke Harada and Tagashi Sugera. They went to a 30-minute time limit draw. So yeah, he's been back a few times, but yeah, he left the company all the way back in 2013. So at the very start of 2013. But
now the question is, do you think this is a more permanent return than his last couple, like just one-off appearances? Because he's now officially a freelancer because his All Japan contract expired.
Yeah.
So do you think like he's going to be a regular going forward? And is that going to have an impact on the outcome of the match?
Yeah, who knows?
Because I wouldn't be opposed to a Kiyomiya Akiyama feud. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it could happen. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this match should be awesome. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this one. Just seeing Akiyama and Kiyomiya mix it up for the first time in a long time, that'll be a lot of fun. Semi-main event, again, very excited for this. Kano defending the GHC national title against Masakatsu Funaki. I think Kano retains. I definitely would not complain if Funaki wins the title, but I think Kano retains.
I kind of feel like Funaki's going to win this.
Oh, okay. Well, I would not complain.
I wouldn't be opposed to either. I wouldn't mind Kano retaining either. But I think it's actually really interesting to put the title on Funaki because Kano has had like a good long title reign now, and I feel like it might be time to like mix things up a little bit. And I think Funaki has like a lot of fresh matchups as well that Kano because who else would be like a good challenger for Kano for the national title that he hasn't already faced? So I think it would be like a really cool thing to like bring Funaki in and give him like a bit of a title reign and have him like have really cool matches with the national title.
Yeah, it definitely could be something. You know, I mean, look, it could be a really cool reign if Funaki wins it. So yeah, I would be into it. And the main event for the GHC heavyweight title, Go Shiozaki versus Keiji Muto. A lot of people thought the play was going to be Muto, beating Go here and then maybe losing the title to Kiyomiya to make up for Kiyomiya, him beating Kiyomiya last year. But yeah, I mean, it's just it feels a little less certain to me now after Muto beat Go in the build-up, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think, gun to my head, I think Go wins, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of have that feeling now as well. Especially if, as I mentioned earlier, like if Akiyama sticks around and he maybe mixes it up with Kiyomiya, then obviously like Kiyomiya, but like the Kiyomiya title match is going to be put off a bit longer as well. And I don't think if they put the title on Muto, it would be a long reign because you just can't. You can't really do that. And as far as I know, like I think Muto mentioned as well that like this is the one title that he hasn't won yet, right? Yeah. I think he mentioned that in the build-up. And I think it's kind of cool as well, the idea that like this is the one title that will forever elude Keiji Muto in his illustrious career.
How many times has he challenged for it, I wonder? Let's look that up. I know he's done it at least
once or twice.
Yeah, let's say Keiji Muto GHC, because they make it very easy to search for that. If you just search like GHC, it usually comes up. So
that's GHC, really nice feature.
Oh no, he's never challenged for it.
Oh, never. So it's his first challenge.
So he challenged for the GHC tag titles twice. He challenged. He and Kaya lost to Misawa and Ogawa at the Departure 2004 Tokyo Dome show, and he and Go Shiozaki lost to Akiyama and Saito in Yokohama in 2012. But yeah, he's never challenged for the GHC heavyweight title.
It does make me slightly reconsider, but just gun to my head, I still think Go is going to retain. But given that it's his first title challenge, that does make it a bit more likely that he's going to win.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. So even though I didn't do a call for questions... Oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's just one more thing I wanted to talk about with the show. And that's just... I don't know how much you've looked at that. How much of a complete shit show how you're going to watch the show is. The viewing options for the show.
No, I haven't...
I don't know if you know about how this is actually structured.
I think I heard only half the show is live or is free or something on Abema.
Yeah. So the weird thing is, half the show is going to be on pay-per-view, and the other half is going to be able to you can watch it on Abema, or you can watch it on Wrestle Universe, or you can watch it on Fight TV with English commentary. But which half do you think is only available on pay-per-view that you need to pay for?
Well, obviously it's the top 5 matches.
No, it's the alternate card.
It's so weird. But I thought the whole show was available on Fight, at least.
Yeah, Fight. I think Fight and Abema TV are the only. Okay, so here it is. So the first 4 matches will only be available. This is via Hisame, who does the Pro Wrestling Noah English account. The first 4 matches will only be available via Abema or Fight TV, who will also broadcast the whole event. The second half, the 4 title matches and the Noah Generations tag, you can view on Abema or Wrestle Universe.
Very strange.
So, yeah.
Very weird. Alrighty. We got a couple questions here, and I didn't do a call for questions this week, but if people ever want to do this and just drop questions in the Discords, especially like these two guys did, I don't mind that, even though I didn't do a call for questions this week. First of all, Mixelpick says, Dear John and or guest, I missed Naito spitting on people. I've always felt that the single most important trait of LIJ Naito was disrespect, and that spitting was the most visceral way in which that disrespect could be expressed. I get why he's not doing it right now, obviously. I guess I was just wondering if this was something other people were missing as well. Well, first of all, Mixelpick, you should have seen the look on my girlfriend's face when you said that, when I read that question out loud, because she's in this room doing her hair, trying to be as quiet as possible, but she made a face basically, that was the look on her face.
I will say that's definitely a very weird fetish.
Do you have any comments on this, Nicole? Do you want to comment on Naito? You had a facial reaction here, so do you want to give a verbal reaction?
I don't like when wrestlers spit, so...
I don't know if the mic picked that up or not, but she doesn't like when wrestlers spit, she said.
So I do not miss that during COVID.
There you go. She doesn't miss it. I will disagree with Nicole. I definitely do miss Naito spitting. It's very, very entertaining. Definitely a big part of his gimmick, so I'm going to have to side with Mixelpix here. I don't know, Paul, where are you on Spitgate?
I guess, yeah. I mean, but does Tomoaki Honma feel worth it being spit on by Tetsuya Naito?
There you go.
I don't think it is a hot feud.
That's all Honma wants. He wants to be spat on.
Jesus Christ. Okay, now you're definitely making it weird.
Armithia also said, Hey John, here's a podcast question for you. Why do you think DDT/Tokyo Joshi got shut out of the Shoe Pro Reader Awards? So my first inclination on this was to think it had something to do with the lack of coverage for DDT in the magazine. I thought for every magazine I've bought, DDT is always towards the back of the issue. As far as their coverage, definitely with the with your big Japans and Wrestle Ones and stuff, and not up there with New Japan, Noah, All Japan. But Jamie O'Donnell from the Dramatic DDT site, he corrected me a little bit and said they do have a regular column in the magazine. Apparently Maki Ito writes a column every week, so they do have coverage in the magazine. So that can't really explain it. I don't know. I think the when I think of a Shoe Pro reader, I mean, to me, a lot of them are big New Japan fans, and that goes way back. I mean, when you look at I just covered this on the Patreon, but when they did their big interpromotional show in '95, their big Tokyo Dome show, That was like right before their controversial editor at the time, Tarzan Yamamoto. He briefly got like banned from New Japan shows for like a month, from covering them at ringside. So they like Shupro had no. Shupro, by the way, is Weekly Pro Wrestling. I keep saying the shortened version without saying the full version. It's the last weekly magazine about pro wrestling left in Japan. Anyway, so Shupro, they got banned from New Japan shows for a month, and their readership plummeted. So clearly, even back in '96, when obviously All Japan was at a very high level still too, and you had other promotions that were pretty popular. Like I think some of the Joshi promotions were still kind of hanging in there, and you had FMW. But yeah, I mean, like, just not being able to cover New Japan for a month, like, the magazine plummeted. And, they end up having to fire Tarzan Yamamoto over that. So I just think, it's a very New Japan-centric magazine. I mean, if you look at most of the covers in this era, it's almost always New Japan. And, beyond that, I mean, Noah and All Japan get a lot of, like, top-tier coverage, too. And, like, it seems like it's very focused on like the quote unquote big three. I mean, All Japan really did poorly in the Shupro fan poll this year too, or this past year. But that was a lot of that on the quality of year All Japan had, I think. And DDT. I mean, DDT did really well in or pretty well in the Net Awards, which is like the fan awards like voted on this Japanese wrestling message board every year. They did pretty damn well in that, and in those awards. But yeah, I guess like DDT fans are much more represented in those award voting than they were in the Shupro readership. And I've heard that DDT actually has a lot of like the DDT fan base has a lot of like crossover with the WWE Japanese fan base, which I guess makes a certain amount of sense. But I also think they're like some of your really hardcore smart types in Japan, which are going to be more well represented in those Net Awards, they do pay attention to DDT. And Shupro readership isn't, I wouldn't call it casual, but it's definitely more casual than like your Net Award people, right? Because it's like much more people like who are like really into New Japan, and then maybe pay attention to like a Noah or an All Japan, and they flip through the magazine every week, but like a little more casual than the Net Award people, who are much more hardcore. And like you see all sorts of wacky shit in those Net Awards. Like you'll see GCW matches and AEW stuff. But yeah, they're very, very better. DDT better represented there than in Shupro. So
yeah, maybe just real quick on like what I maybe noticed, which is like the other side of the question, which is the fact that I think Tokyo Joshi Pro in the past year, and I think Joshi in general, has had kind of a breakout year in 2020, because I don't think that Tokyo Joshi Pro getting shut out of the Shupro poll would have been something that people would have noticed, or like there would have been people that might have noticed, but I don't think that that's something that probably would have come up as a question before 2020. So I think it's really nice to see that like Tokyo Joshi Pro really has had like a breakout year in the past year, so much that people are like weirded out by it getting shut out of the Shupro poll.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. I guess we can wrap it up there. We went honestly a little longer than I thought we would on these two shows, but again, I guess I said that last week too. We're a chatty bunch here on Wrestling Omakase, especially me. I don't know how long the one with those 4 shows is going to be. I guess it's going to be 4 hours. But yeah, Paul, thank you so much for coming on. Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, just generally watch my writing at Voices of Wrestling. I guess I'm going to review the Nippon Budokan show, so you can definitely look forward to that. Otherwise, some 2AW just hit independentwrestling.tv, so if you have a subscription to that, go watch that, because it's really, really good.
I swear, I really wish they would get like Kaintai Dojo footage on there, like old archive stuff. I would watch that.
Oh yeah, that would be really cool. But I don't know who owns that footage. If that's Taka or if that's the new company. That's probably like not quite clear who owns that. So who knows? Oh yeah, maybe there's actually one thing I wanted to ask you about that, because like you're better at Japanese than I am. and maybe that's a reference or something, or like a joke that I don't get. But like, why is he the Andrew King Takuma now? Like, why isn't he just King Takuma? Why the Andrew? Like, I don't get the Andrew part. If that's like some Japanese reference, I'm just not getting.
I don't know it either. I really don't know. Maybe we can ask Andrew Puffin Brain. He knows more Japanese than me, and it's his name too. So maybe he'll know.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why he's called the Andrew.
There you go. It's a reference to Puffin Brain. I don't know. I really have no idea why he's the Andrew King. So there you go. All right, folks. You can follow us on Twitter at Wrestling Omakase. Wrestling, of course, wouldn't fit. We'll be back next week with it's a very quiet week in Japanese wrestling next week. Just a bunch of New Japan Korakuens and the All Japan Baba Memorial Show, which that's not that super interesting. So instead, we're gonna do another Retro Roulette episode, another WCW one. We did the Halloween Havoc one a few months back, and this time, since it's February, we're gonna do a WCW Super Brawl Retro Roulette. So just like last time, we can get literally any match from any Super Brawl. It's totally up to the randomizer gods. So who knows what we'll get? Will we get good stuff? Will we get bad stuff? We'll have to wait and see. It'll be 6 random matches. I'll be joined by a first-time guest for that, Voices of Wrestling's Matt Francis. So he and I should have a lot of fun with that. So that'll be on the free feed next week. And again, also check out if you want some more Japanese wrestling coverage, retro in this case, on the Patreon. Myself and WH Park are going to do an awesome 5 matches episode around the same time. So definitely check that out at patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. Until then, folks, thank you as always for listening, and we will see you next time.